This video is sponsored by Skillshare. Links in the description below. I'm back. Good morning and welcome to another episode of The Studio. My name is Adam and today we are going to be looking at a Marimba 1 instrument. It is the Marimba 1 3-octave educational series, Practice Marimba. Thank you so much to my studio VIPs, Robert Utomo, Bradley Crowley, Sungshun Han, Scott Rader, Greg Harris, DP Newberger and J. Carol Gilliland. Thank you so much for your continued support. And today's featured studio artist is Tommy. Thank you so much for your continued support. If you'd like to become a studio VIP or a studio artist, you can go to patreon.com/AdamTan, or you can click over here. Welcome back to the show once again. And yes, I've been away for a while because I've been doing Marimbafest. That's the festival that I direct here in Perth, Western Australia, and I've been working on that for the last 6 months, and I'm so glad despite everything that's happening around the world right now and even here in Perth, we managed to make it happen a week ago and everything was fine. But yeah, if you followed me on Instagram, you would see that I was doing that literally all day, every day for 2 weeks. So I didn't really have time to film anything or even be in this room. I was barely here for most of that period of time. So I'm really glad to be back. And if you want to see any of the Marimbafest action, you can check out our Instagram page at Marimbafest. You can go on our Facebook page, Marimbafest Australia, or our YouTube channel, Marimbafest Australia, or our website, www.marimbafest.com. But yes, now that Marimbafest is over, I can work on other things now, including this video that you're watching today, as well as my brand new 4 1/3 octave marimba solo, Sunflower. I'm also working on a multi-percussion duo and also a vibes and marimba duo that I'm supposed to have premiered in around September. It was a commission, so I'm really excited to get back into writing music. And I've also been talking to some people about something which I will hopefully be able to reveal to you guys very, very soon. But if you haven't already, hit that red subscribe button below to keep up with my uploads, as I'm going to be going back to weekly uploads again on this channel for you guys. Okay, so today's episode is actually the first in 2 episodes about the Marimba 1 educational series. This is a not sponsored video. Marimba 1's not paying me anything to say nice things about these instruments, but they did send me a 3-octave instrument and a 4 1/3 octave instrument, brand new to me, for the review of this show, and we did actually end up using them for Marimbafest as well. So the instruments are no longer with me. You can see they're not in my studio. This is my Marimba 1 Izzy. Thankfully, before the festival started, my friend Carissa and I actually set up these instruments and we filmed a whole bunch of footage, including setup, B-roll, and also sound tests. So we're kind of retrospecting everything together, but shout out to my friend Carissa for helping me out on that. You can check out her details in the description below. Okay, so the educational series from Marimba 1. So this is a series that I never thought was ever going to exist under the Marimba 1 name, because when I first bought my Marimba 1 instrument back in 2016, they were still known for just making big rosewood 5-octave concert instruments. And then about a couple of years ago, they came out with the Wave series, which I reviewed on my channel over here, that was dedicated to the front ensemble market, which is a huge market, especially in the United States. And that was when they made their first 4 1/3 octave instrument, which is something, again, I didn't expect at all. And now we have the educational series, which actually makes a lot of sense when you think about it. I mean, even here in Perth, the biggest market is schools. Like schools looking for beginner instruments that aren't too expensive, but still have that build quality, still have that brand reputation, and all of the design features that you'd expect on a brand like Marimba 1. Ichiban. And then 3-octave instruments. I mean, I'm sure any of the educators watching this video would agree with me. When you're talking to students about buying their first marimba, it's very rare to recommend them a 3-octave instrument unless they're very young or they're only looking to play like xylophone solos or something. 3 octaves is... yeah, I wasn't really sure at first when I saw this instrument. But then after I lifted up this instrument a few times and I tested it out, I realized there is actually a lot of situations where you could use a 3-octave instrument like this, especially in such a portable form factor. Obviously, there's the whole idea of practicing quietly at home, maybe just practicing mallet chops like scales, excerpts, anything that requires a keyboard that is not big. And also, I thought about situations like pits or orchestras where you have very limited space for a setup and you just need a few notes on the marimba, bam, you chuck your 3-octave instrument there, you're set. Okay, so price. This instrument comes in at about $13.99 US. Now, depending on where you are in the world, that may be more expensive, that may be cheaper, but I think this is pretty much the ballpark figure for these practice marimbas. Now, you can get no-name generic brands practice marimbas for cheaper, but they will usually be non-graduated bars, or they will be built in China or another country that is not described, whereas I think these marimbas are all made in Arcata, California, which means that this instrument for this form factor is more worth the price because you have better build quality, better heritage, better resale value when you inevitably decide to flip this and buy a larger Marimba One instrument. The instrument is Padauk bass, something that is a first for Marimba One. I've never seen a Padauk Marimba One before, and I'm gonna say early spoilers, it's actually pretty decent sounding for a Padauk instrument, but more on that later. You'll also notice that these bars are the same width as they would be on a normal Marimba One instrument. Proper graduated bars. I cannot stress how important it is to have these on a marimba because, you know, when you buy those like student marimbas and all the bars are the same size, that doesn't help at all because that is not a realistic interpretation of what an actual marimba is. You're just going to be learning with weird spacing. Now in the box, you obviously get the instrument itself. It's wrapped in this very cool Marimba One cardboard that has little M's engraved into it. I love the packaging that Marimba One instruments come in. It's just extremely nice. You also get a custom made Marimba One keyboard stand. I know a keyboard stand's a keyboard stand, but the Marimba One keyboard stand, one end is actually longer than the other to facilitate the triangle shape of the frame, and it has the Marimba One logo on it. It's got some padding on the top so that the instrument doesn't slide. It's a pretty nice stand, and of course you get a nice fitting dust cover, which is the same material as the brilliant dust cover that is used on the Izzy. Still my favorite dust cover to date. It's made of that kind of like ripstop type material, so it's really hard wearing and durable, and you can potentially put it underwater, but don't. And then just like other Marimba One instruments, you get a free pair of round sound mallets chucked in. So yeah, I think it's a pretty decent price, $13.99 US, and you get all of the typical after sales service that you get with Marimba One. So it's just, yeah, it's a good buy. I think it's a good buy. Okay, so setting this instrument up is very, very easy. I mean, here's a video of Carissa and I putting it on a keyboard stand. Yep, that's literally it. Yeah, the marimba is pretty much ready to go when you take it out of the box. You just chuck it on the stand and start playing. Okay, let's talk about a couple of the design features. But firstly, I want to focus on the weight because when I'm thinking about little tabletop instruments like this, I really want them to be easy to carry because you'll usually be moving them a lot, especially if you're living in a tight apartment space or somewhere where you just need to constantly reshuffle furniture. This is a very light instrument. The frame comes in at about 15 kilos with the bars on top, and that's 35 pounds. 35 pounds, very, very light. You can literally carry the whole thing by yourself, and then the keyboard stand, I mean, that weighs like nothing. It's a very convenient instrument to lug around. The frame doesn't disassemble, it's just one solid piece, but it's a very, very solid piece. Everything feels well put together. You've got the Marimba One logo that's laser engraved on the front. Looks very, very sleek and professional. You've also got Marimba One logos on the keyboard stand. Gotta have your branding everywhere, I guess. And then of course the Padauk bass in this beautiful red color. Like, some people really like Padauk bass, and honestly I didn't expect Padauk to sound that good. I'm normally not such a big fan of Padauk instruments. I mean, I did do a video of Padauk versus Rosewood a while back. You can check it out over here, and yeah, again, I got surprised. Yeah, I guess Padauk doesn't necessarily have to always be associated as the budget or garbage option, which is really nice. You really learn something new every day. And speaking of learning something new, that brings me to the sponsor of today's video, which is Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of inspiring classes for creative people just like you and me, where you can learn new skills, follow your passions, and ultimately get lost in the art of learning. Classes range in duration from short to long to fit any schedule, and they cover all kinds of topics, including creative fields like graphic design, photography, music, illustration, and then business fields like marketing, leadership, entrepreneurship, and lifestyle and productivity videos like interior design, cooking, and even fitness. And I think that it's really great that you can literally learn about anything on Skillshare, including the class that I'm looking at the moment, which is Knife Skills, a mini class to shop like a chef by Eleanor Karp. So Eleanor is the head chef at Plated and the co-author of the Plated cookbook, and yes, this is a cooking video. I never thought I'd be watching a cooking video. I'm not really a great cook and I'm terrible at cutting things, and it was really nice to see Eleanor's explanation on how to julienne, because that is a technique that I've never really been good at. She explained it so well, and the shots are just so perfect because I've been feeding the food into the knife and apparently that's just totally wrong. So sorry. So yeah, Skillshare is a very active community, so if you're ever feeling spontaneous like me and you want to learn about something completely random, there's heaps of new classes being launched all the time. And thanks to Skillshare, the first 1,000 people to use my link in the description below and the pinned comment down below will receive a free 1-month trial of Skillshare Premium. So Go check it out right now. So now we're going to proceed to the sound test, and if you're enjoying the video so far, please give me a thumbs up. I'd really appreciate it. And I'd also like to give a shout out to Carissa, the person who's filming this sound test, because I forgot to bring a memory card for my main camera, so I ran out of memory and I ended up filming this on my phone, and I didn't have a tripod for my phone, so Carissa was just holding it like this the whole time. So shout out to Carissa and her steady hands. This is the sound test. It's so small. It's tiny. So what did you think of the sound test? Let me know down in the comments below. Yes, I didn't really know what to play on a 3-octave instrument. It's quite small, but I was actually really surprised at how resonant the bars were without resonators, because I mean, I've played on a lot of tabletop xylophones and some practice marimbas, and they usually sound pretty dead, but these Perdue bars, they actually ring pretty well. So yeah, I'd say this instrument is perfect for first-time mallet learners, people trying to learn the technique, trying to learn scales, trying to learn how to read notes. It's great in a classroom situation because it doesn't take up much space. It's really easy to set up. It can be adjusted with the keyboard stand to fit pretty much any height. So yeah, I can see a lot of use cases for this instrument. And while I personally wouldn't buy one because I already have this, it's so nice to see Marimba One making instruments for opposite ends of the market. I really appreciate that so much. So yeah, if you want to know more about that, you can check it out in the description below. And yeah, let me know down in the comments below if you'd like to see any other instruments on this show, and maybe they'll send it to me. Maybe. But don't worry, next week we're also going to be featuring the larger educational series instrument, the 4 1/3 octave. And I think that instrument will really surprise you. Like, genuinely, a lot of people during Marimbafest week wanted to play that instrument over the 5 octave instrument. I was like, what? And if you enjoyed my video today, please hit that red subscribe button below to keep up my uploads, as I'll be uploading new content every single week on this channel. Thank you so much for watching today's episode, and I'll see you guys next week for another episode of The Studio. Good night.